Hey everybody, welcome to your daily update for SOL and BTC. It's a weekend, of course, so we've got very much weekend-looking liquidity on BTC. Sometimes I wonder if they just paint the same graph every weekend. Um, it's just even. You wouldn't even think we had a dump or a pump or anything. You'd just look at it and think, oh yeah, we just flatlined. The areas that are on there are pretty much just down to about that 104, 105 for the 25x sort of leverage, and all the way up to about 114 for the 25x, and the 100x stuff is pretty much down to about 107 and up to about 110, 111 nearly, and 50x of course is in the middle. It's probably the SOL's probably the more interesting one because it actually seems to be building a bit of liquidity up to about 212, and it has just started to move just now as well. So it seems to be actually looking to take some of this, which could fix a few problems with some of the closes. And then the downside liquidity down to about 193. Now, if we have a look at the 7-day, 7-day is pretty much screaming short squeeze. So I'd be really surprised if they leave that. The funny thing is it wouldn't necessarily be such a big squeeze on BTC though. Like it's out of balance on the 7-day, but really only up to about 115, maybe even just that 114 area. Whereas you can see something might be coming for SOL where it's just, there's a lot of liquidity up into that 220. And there's a few things that sort of line up with that, which I'm seeing happening actually as we record this. To the downside, 105 again is the featured number. We may not get to 105 on BTC. There is a support level sitting at about 107 that's capable of sending the price back up. So, every big move we've had on BTC lately, I should say this cycle, everyone's expected it to go to some really low, and then of course it's stopped before that, made a support, and then gone up off that new support. Sort of structurally, they're the kind of thing, if you know what you're looking for, you can see it being created and you can see what it's trying to do. But if you don't know what you're looking for, you're just waiting for the your target to get hit, and you are forever waiting. With SOL, there's still a little bit down there at about 188, and there is a couple of time frames that show some possible numbers below 188. If we have a good close though, they might just disappear. One of the things though about the position that SOL is in right now is that if it closes over about 204.9 or something, that we'll get to the exact numbers later, but say around 205. If it closes around 205, there is actually some really big levels that we've never closed a candle over before, or not on the same sort of scale anyway, and things like 90-day candles. And if we do that, there is the possibility we don't go down, and we just go up. So yeah, I still think they'll grab the liquidity, but when you see the amount of closes we got today and what some of them actually could do, you'd be wanting to keep a bit of an eye on it. And then I think I've said it before, like it's just an area where it's such a good risk reward area that you should really be building a position anyway, and you might not end up with as big a position as what you could get. But hey, if it runs off and you've got nothing on the table, then you get nothing. So if we look at the 30-day liquidity, same thing, pretty much down to about 104 on BTC. And there's clear groups, and one of those groups sort of stops at about that 107,800 area. I think 107,400 is about where the support level is, and then we've got the next bunch of liquidity that sits under that. So it is possible they go down to that support level, wick under it to grab that bunch of liquidity, and then skyrocket. But one of the really bullish things about today's close is that it's closing above that, hopefully. We've still got a couple of hours to go, but all things at the moment look like it's going to close above the level. which means it can open a candle, go down, work through it, grab the liquidity, and then short squeeze. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. Looking at the 30-day for SOL, huge spike up there at around 225, and we know, that Trump trend, the destroyer of everything, the one that basically has given us 2 new all-time highs, and it's given us, massive liquidation bottoms. The trend sits at about 226. So if they go up and grab that and stay over top of it, it can go. And it only took a 1-hour candle over top of that trend last time to actually completely dump for 6 days. I think we've been dumping for, because of one times 1 hour candle that closed under that trend. So it'd be good to get above it. As far as the downside targets, still pretty much the same, but as you can see, there's not a lot there on the 30-day. A lot of those older positions got taken out, or they closed or capitulated. So there's newer liquidity, down to that 188, and there's a bit of 30-day liquidity left to that 188 area. So 188 seems to be the number that just keeps showing up all over the place. So let's have a look at from the other direction. So yeah, BTC is just hovering on that large block. And the reason I see that as bullish is, if they'd gone and done that today and stayed down there, or even hit the levels today, there would have been these flow-on effects to do with structure that would have actually been quite bearish. But staying up here today and doing it tomorrow, or even say after weekly close, is actually way better for structure. It sort of lets a support build, then it sweeps it and goes, rather than breaking it, which is the key thing. And so for SOL, as you can see, is pushing up almost like it's trying to do a bit of a short squeeze already. The key area that we'll see in these charts later is about this 204, so it's not that far away from it, and we really want to get it up and over that and to stay over that for close. And BTC can pretty much be where it is, I think, for now. It doesn't really matter, just don't go lower. So top side liquidity on BTC about 118, bottom side 104, SOL up to about 213, and I think 214. If it actually somehow gets over 214 today before daily close, then that gets rid of a hold level, which cuts down on resistance creation. But I don't think that'll happen. I think if anything, we'll probably just create some new trends. We'll create a hold level. We'll bounce a couple of times or whatever. But it's yeah, maybe if it takes this whole thing before close, then that might change things quite a bit. But but yeah. 184 at the bottom and 213 at the top. The high time frame liquidity is sitting at about 222, and there's a band up there at about 258. 258 or 259 is a high time frame rejection area, very similar to 253. So you've all just seen what 253 did. That was our last sort of daily hold, but it was a really solid old daily hold from the massive dump that we had from the 295 candle. So it's I think 258, 259 level is a origin level, 2021 level. So that could be another one that triggers a pretty decent retrace or rejection, or if closed over on the right daily close of the right time frame, it could absolutely moon. So the bottom end of things is still down here in that 150 area. There's a group, of liquidity between 177 and 169. But that's one of the things about closing today good. If we close today the right way, we actually create some daily support in about the I think it's 196 area. So we're actually shifting the support levels upwards on SOL, which is good to see. So right, let's have a look at the pile of charts. Okay, so SOL BTC closed yesterday with a hold level. It's on the correct side of the trend to break out, go to the upside and test some of these ranges to the upside. Don't need that anymore, really. That's gone. So we have a few things coming through here. This is a reject. Yep. So this is an origin level. That's about 19012. So, we could push up to that, get a rejection. That could trigger the dump for that liquidity sweep, if it is going to do a liquidity sweep. So maybe that happens before close. Maybe it's the next candle opens up, goes up, hits that, and then comes down to do the retest. And that could be the liquidity sweep that we get. But all things considered, it's bounced pretty much off a range trend. It's got on the top side of the steep downwards range trend, which was always going to be the problem. Like, if you're stuck under one of those trends, you just go down forever until you can get over it, and they can be brutal. There was like a 1 hour one that a couple of the guys were talking about in the Discord a couple of days ago, where we just couldn't get through this 1 hour trend because it just keeps smacking into it and going down as it goes. But this has come straight back up through it. So this is all bullish intention. Like, they have a choice whether they have heaps of sells put on that trend, or whether they don't. And in this case, they did not have a lot of sells put on that trend and went straight back through it. So it's looking pretty good. If it was to get up over that origin level by daily close, well, that's really bullish. But yeah, as it stands, it's back inside the range. It's above support. Yeah, it should go up. There might be some ups and downs as they grab that liquidity. They've baked a whole bunch of cake this weekend. They'll probably want to eat it, but it's it's looking good. Okay, on the weekly. So the weekly did the retest, and as you can see, it's pulling back up slowly. It's still got a day to go, but this is pretty normal price behavior. And all we're really wanting is that for it to get over those same sort of levels. So basically over that 190 sort of level. And the monthly, this is what's made, SOL so weak for a couple of weeks now, really. And it was just this monthly rejection off this trend and off this hold. But it's found the range trend, and it's also found the monthly break level, and that's pushing it back up again now. So these things all just fight each other like, a bit of a ping pong game. So, right. Now this one, safety assets, we want this to close down today. So in 2 hours, we want this to be a down candle. So that means closing under 65.15%. If we do that, we do not hard close the origin breakout level. And it's called an origin breakout level for a reason. If we hard close it, it'll probably break out. And we don't want to do that, because that means everything pours into stables and BTC, and alts absolutely poop themselves. So we want to close down, and then unfortunately, if we do close down, we'll probably get some kind of new trend put in there, but it's be like this. So the best thing would be for this to be back down below this level, below the 65.09% level by close, because if it did that, it would be so close to the new trend when it appears that it'll open on the wrong side of the trend and can reject down. And it hasn't actually hard closed the trend to the resistance trend, so everything says that this can keep dumping, and then alts can go up if this comes down enough. Okay, and the weekly is still rejecting. That's good. Worry about that more tomorrow. And the monthly is still just dangling. And if we want to see 20% day after day after day after day in alts, we want this monthly to close down, because if it closes down and it loses that trend, it's a decent fall. It'll fall down to one of these 59 point something levels where it will find support, because these are origin support levels and they will bounce it, but that can give us alt season. And it started up here in June. Maybe it's a little over halfway through if this falls. So if this candle ends down, then yeah, it can definitely sort of come down and smack into those, and I don't think we'll lose those. We could. If we do, it's kind of scary actually if we do, because it means that people would lose all faith in stables and all faith in BTC, and everyone would just be buying every poop coin, and that's about it. So you never really expect this thing to absolutely go to nothing, because there should always be some faith in these things. Okay, now totals. So I quite like what I'm seeing on the totals versus the DXY. So the support trend is going to shift from where it is here to the underside of this candle as long as it closes like that. And if that happens, we have still got these support levels through here which have held the whole range up. And then we've also now got the trend support under the candle. So if it closes like that, it can bounce off that, come up here and try to attack this hold level again. And pretty much once you've hit the hold level and you get over the trend, if you close over the trend, you'll go to the break. If you there'll be another trend created. If you close over it, you go to the next one. It's basically just like a process. And it's starting that process now if it closes in this way. It would get bearish if this came all the way down. It would also not be that helpful if it closed up. You don't really want it to close up. It's one of those things where, I mean, if it got back up inside the trend, cool, happy with that. That's been nice. But if it closed up and below the trend, it's not been helpful. So we'll just, see how that one closes. And if we look at it from the other direction, it's condensed in between the two trends. It's going to shift its support trend, or topside trend from resistance to support. That's good. It's going to open on the top side of the downtrend. That's good. The only thing about this is that it is losing a break level, but it is creating an origin support level. So the break level that exists here at 3.45, it's been hit, it's bounced, it hasn't retouched. As long as this candle does not retouch this, and this is what I've been saying in the Discord, like we do not want SOL to go to 196 before the end of the day, because it's doing a similar thing to this where it's trying to reinforce and create a like a high strength support. And the way to do it is to create polarity where you hit a break level, the price should fall. You should go down. It's like if when you break this range, you break this range by hitting the break level and the price goes down. And then you break this range by hitting the break level and the price goes down. And then you hit this range by hitting the break level and the price goes down. And then you hit this range. Oh, hold on. The price hasn't gone down. So what it's trying to do at the moment is create this as the origin of the range. And if it does that, it pretty much not much of the stuff that's up here will matter. If it does this, it will break all this, and it will go up, and it will target the polar opposite side, which is this line up here, at about 378, 379, because this is where it came up to break the distribution range, and instead of breaking, it failed. So what it's attempting to do is reverse the distribution within this accumulation range. What it did up there was fail to reverse the distribution. So basically you've got that as a target if this builds this structurally the right way, this will go there. So that's pretty much what I'm seeing there. Weekly, well, the candle's moving back up. That's what we want to see. Keep that one simple, eh? And because we'll look at it again tomorrow anyway. And monthly, we'll look at it the month. It's still on the wrong side of the trend, but if it gets back up and creates a hold level, so monthly close over 3.5T, that'd be great. Okay. BTC. So this could be a perfect close, really. Like a reversal type close. So it will move the support trend to the underside of the candle. That's good. It's got a hold level to target when it bounces off it. That's great. Gets it back up inside. It doesn't move the support trend if it closes up as a yellow candle. So that's, it's almost a little bit better to leave it like this. Although there is some positives. If it closes as a yellow candle, then it hasn't hard closed any of these other levels above, so they're more likely just to be passed through. So yeah, I guess either way, it's got a little challenge to get back up there, but it's a pretty positive looking close. What you don't want to see is you don't want to see the wick gone on the bottom of it, so that basically means we want to stay above, 109.030 on the daily. And if we do, then we should start to see attacking these break levels that we've passed through, retesting them. So that's more like the 110s and the 111 sort of numbers coming back into play. And then we've got that hold level up there at about 111,900, and that lines up with the daily liquidity that's on BTC at the moment. Okay, 2-day. 2-day's doing nothing. It's basically a dive. It's not losing the range to the upside. That's good. It hasn't tagged the range to the downside. That's good. This is an origin support level here, by the way, this 107,465. So you can see it was created here, and the break of the range was tested by the next candle after the break, and then comes back in here, bounces, and gives you a pretty good run up. Like last time this one bounced, it went up here, created its opposite. So that was 107 up to 116. So, you know, we could expect that kind of thing again off any of these levels. But what I think is probably happening is BTC is hovering around this area. I think it's going to sweep all this, and it's going to take that liquidity. Like this wick you see over here, you always get, before you have a real move out of a range to form a new range, they usually take the greediest buys they can by liquidating as much as they can below the range. Okay, so this was a range that we were in for quite some time, and this was the greedy buys, and then they would have sold there and there, and that was the range we were in for quite some time. And initially you would have thought that this was the sell, but looking more so, I'd probably say that's the range, and we could see the sell being down in here. But if it happens, it will be similar to this, really. It should be just a wick, you know, some kind of wick, and then back up again. Okay, looking at 3-day. So 3-day is bouncing off a backside hold back here, and yeah, it's not really doing anything. It's really little subtle things like how this candle started just above the line. It's those kind of things that I look at and just don't trust the dump, if that makes sense. Little things like that just make you feel like, oh, it's not a bear market, because if it was a bear market, they would have gone under there and dropped, you know, whereas that's above. So it is different. So this we have this break level here. We haven't hard closed it with this candle, but it did offer resistance here, and that's actually the same sort of level as where that liquidity is on the daily. So there's a lot of confidence around that 111,800 number. But yeah, other than that, it's not really doing much, because it's not shifting any real trends or anything. It's erasing the existence of this one, and yeah, it's just kind of a nothing. Okay, 5-day. So 5-day has a nice clean range. It's diving trends. It's not breaking any trends. It's below the break level, but it hasn't actually broken it, because it's not a hard close separate candle, full body down, so it hasn't broken it. It's got a range trend for support running through here. It's avoided touching it. It's got a standard uptrend running through here. It's avoided touching that too. Funny enough, the break level of this 5-day range is an origin support level. So sitting right here is an origin support level, a range trend, a standard trend, and a candle that's just hovering. So something tells me they want to open a candle, wick this for the liquidity, and go back up. And that's looking like definitely the story, you know, at this stage. And I'd like to think that most people aren't overthinking this, and yeah, I don't know. I just hope it doesn't just go down there and stay down there, because it could do that. All right, 6-day. So 6-day is sitting on this is quite a local trend. I've just put this in here just to sort of illustrate the actual range itself, but it's sitting basically just on that local trend. It's high enough up that it can just open on that and go up if it wants to, go down if it wants to. It's very similar to the 2-day candle. It's not really breaking anything. The next one won't be able to break anything. If it closes like this, it's not bad. It's not good either. It's just trying to put itself in a position where it's got options to do anything really. But we've got a support level running through at about 106. And again, this has also got that same as the 5-day, this has got that same origin support level there at 107,400. So the next break, if it did target that, like it's got a range trend as well actually, so 108. We haven't even gone below 108. The day could get quite bearish if for some reason they push it down in the last couple of hours and go below 108,300-ish, but because that is another weekly level that could then propel the price violently down, but it's looking like they're trying to avoid that, at least at this stage. But hey, I've done these and then 10 minutes before close everything changes. So other levels, if it does go through the 107 level, would be 106, not that different. The actual full break of this range would be down at 98, and the actual hold level for the next range is at 85. But this, like, put it in perspective, this is the next range. Okay, so if you come down to this 85, you're probably not coming back up into this 100 plus area, because that's a whole nother range that you'd be stuck in at that point, unless you just absolutely scam wicked into it and came back up in a single candle, but doubtful. Okay, 9-day. So 9-day is sitting on the trend. So this is where things do get a little bit sus. It's sitting on the trend. If it creates a close below 111,491, then it creates another hold resistance level at 111,491. If they hit that hold level, they can use that hold level to break the trends. But it's got to put a button there, right? It will also create a local range trend. So if they close like this, one trend is going to want the price to go down. The other one is going to want to pull it back up. They're both going to want to send it at this hold level. And the direction it goes first is going to be quite telling, because if it actually drops first, then these trends are just going to be like, nah. They're just going to attach a bungee cord to the thing and they're going to pull it back up to try and hit that hold level. And then if it breaks that hold level, so if you think about a hold level is a level full of sell pressure, if it's on the top side, buy pressure, it's on the bottom. What do you think the likelihood of a hold level holding the price down is if they liquidity sweep and buy everybody's product, was this BTC, and buy everybody's BTC contracts to the downside? Would they then be moving up with more things to sell than sell pressure than that is in the hold? So when you see a sweep, quite often the hold level that's the first hold level next to the sweep doesn't hold. And that's because they've just taken so much that they can fill every one of those sell orders that's in that hold candle that would be trying to push the price down, and they can keep going through it. So that's just something to be aware of. If this thing sweeps, don't short that level, right? Because it's probably not going to push back down again. And you'll be stuck in it for ages. It'll go up and eventually fail, but you'll be stuck in it for a long time. Okay, so let's have a look at the 10-day. So same thing, going to create a hold level, but slightly lower down, 111,085. It's going to be above its localized trend. It's got areas down at 99. I don't think it'll go there. It does have this is the one that's worrying. It's got this retest all the way down at 88, but hopefully that's just going to be left for the bear market. So yeah, and it's got a origin level running all the way through at 108, which is also the weekly level, 108,350. So mean, all this time frame's really saying is that it's probably going to take a dive. There is a chance that it just taps the trend and then goes up, but I don't know whether there'd be enough buy pressure on that trend to, for that hold. So there's probably a lot of people right now who will sell if the price goes back up, just because of the way the market is, and people are saying that it's over and all that kind of thing. So although if that SOL price gets over 204,800, then it's probably not over. Okay. Looking at the 18-day, so this is doing a hold rejection, which is kind of why we're going down. So the target for that was 109.5, and that's been reached now. So I think we just must have tapped that. Oh, yeah, just went a bit through that. So so get rid of that. So that hold level is now empty. So this is going to lose trend. It's going to move to there. So the next candle is free to pretty much do what it wants. It can dip. The next trend is going to be about 102, and it'll be diving through so much support, it should really come back up. So where was that? That was there. So that's interesting, because 102 is the monthly retest. So I suppose they could do that. That would be, I don't think anyone would be expecting that. There are a lot of people expecting 105. But yeah, this could go to 102. So open on the wrong side, open under this break level up here, and push off the 109.988 level and go hit the trend at 102. Very, very, very possible. I wonder if that trend looks the same on the daily. Let's have a quick look. Oops. On screen. Where's that trend on the daily? It's that one. Actually, that trend, based on the fact that candle width and height and time doesn't really match, that trend is actually sitting at 104, is it? So got top, middle, next one. Or is that 104? No, it's down here. Sorry, trying to figure out what that is. Easiest thing to do is change the look of it. Oh yeah, it is that one. Okay, yeah, so it is. So it's sitting at 104. Okay, so that could line up. So people thinking 105, maybe we go 104 and hit that trend. Very possible. Dive a bit through it, something like that. So, okay, let's have a look at 15-day. Oh, wrong order. So 15-day is under the range trend, under the downtrend. It has a support level, backside hold level there at 106, trend support and range trend retest. So the range trend retest is a highly probable target. Unfortunately, that would be quite low. So that's, yeah, where is that one? Probably should have had that done earlier. Range trend retest, it's about 100. Okay. So let's not disregard 100. We've also got a hold level forming here. So that is 92.523. Okay, so there's a few hold levels forming to the upside for resistance, and if enough hold levels form, then maybe they are a problem, because there'll only be a certain amount of stuff bought if it goes down. So the other thing, of course, is they can push up and then short down, but we'll see. Right, 27-day. Okay, so much like that level 109, 109 was a target for a hold level, the 27-day hold level is currently targeting 99,981. So things like this can either take a really long time to play out, or they can be stopped because of things like trends. So if there is too much buying pressure on this trend, then any of the selling pressure from this hold will just get disintegrated as it goes into the trend, and then it never reaches that 99.981 level. So yeah, you've got to, when it comes to these fib levels, a lot of the higher time frame stuff, you got to be aware that the trend can stop it from even getting to its target. So and it's not till it breaks the trend later that it then goes down and bounces off these levels. So as it currently stands, I probably wouldn't look too much into this. It is not really doing anything, and it's got support levels at sort of 108, 106, 96, but yeah, not really too much to read into that one. Okay, 30 days probably the bearish one, which might make a bit of sense, because if it is coming back to test that monthly range, then the 30 days is pretty close to the monthly. So it's bouncing off the topside trend. It's got this backside range retest here at 106. It's got the next trend down here at 92, and it's got this hold level down here at 86, but that'd be pretty extreme. It is going to move the trend, and so depending on how this closes, by the end of the day, if it was to have that little push up, that would be quite positive, because it could bounce off this trend. But based on where it is now, it's going to open on the wrong side of it. But it has 30 days to go down, to go back up, and not close blue. So it doesn't lose the trend until it's blue. So okay, 45-day. So we want this to stay above 108,297 for the day. And this type of behavior here is what I call bullish intention, or fake bearishness, because it's positioning itself in a way where it can bounce off the back of the trend, come down and do a liquidity sweep, but it's not creating the hold level, not creating the resistance. There's actually more buy pressure going on right now in this candle, even though it's blue, than what that is, because this has not managed to get below that. So based on what people are willing to pay for it, they are willing to pay a higher price for it, in here than what they were at the beginning of this, where this went down then up. This has not got below that, and it hasn't stayed below that. So as long as it doesn't stay below that, what we could see is the trend gives it a push, it does a sweep, and then it comes back up through that. No hold level. Okay. And then the 54-day. 54-day needs to stay above 108,607. Same thing. It's got a target down here of 96. It's got a trend it's going to open on the wrong side of, and it's got a trend sitting in that same sort of area. But if it doesn't create a hold level, there's nothing to push it to these, right? So they're not targets if this thing is not overly selling, is kind of the gist of it. So okay, 90-day. Who would have thought? 90-day chart. So the thing I quite like about the 90-day chart is that every single accumulation candle has hit the topside trend. So if you're going to have a complete failure and major correction on a time frame, what happens is you'll get an accumulation candle that can't make it to the trend. So whatever the trend was back here in the bear market, if you'd run a reverse trend, it would have been something like what, up to here. And as soon as the candle doesn't get to this thing, it can be a bit of a problem, right? And that was like this candle was the first sign, and then it wicked up, started selling down, and off it went. So you can kind of pick this quite easily on things like weekly timeframes when the pressure is really changing and they just can't get back up to that trend again. So this is hitting it. It has hit it every time. It's looking like it's going to close up. As long as it stays over 108.297, it's that magic number again, then we're good. It's going to open on the wrong side of the trend, but hey, it did that here too. It doesn't really matter. Like if it opens on the wrong side of the trend, it can still go up and recover. It just gives it a choice. It can either have a 90-day period of downside, break, and then go into a bear market, or it can have a 90-day period and go up, and then break it to the upside. Still just a choice. So, but it's positive that it's hit this line with all of these accumulation candles so far, as is this one. So, although I do think that this is another indication of that 94.95 target, so it's going to open the next candle. It's either going to be going up or it's going to come back to retest the previous hard close trend. So, that previous hard close trend is sitting at about 94. Looking at that, I think it's just see if that's the same on the daily. Actually, maybe it's about 91. So about 91 on the daily. So, I mean, if there's a real scam wick, like if they announce that for the first time ever the American government is actually shutting down instead of it just being the same old meme, then hey, yeah, sure, that'd be a reason to send it down there. But it's yeah, at this stage, not yet. Okay, the 1 week, which closes tomorrow, it's climbed back up inside one of its trends. That's good. We'll look at it again tomorrow, but we still haven't hit the weekly break level. So the weekly break level is that 107 level, and as it currently stands, we haven't touched it, so it's not a problem. And looking at the monthly, so the monthly is just sitting in between the backside of a trend that is basically just trapped between a bunch of trends. There's not really a lot that you can draw from this. It's not going to change anything. If it closes like this, it's either going to have to close blue to make a difference or close up to make a difference, but it doesn't really change anything. But a couple months ago, it had the option to generate a hold level here. It didn't. So at that point, we still had momentum. This candle actually can't create a hold level, even if it wants to, because it doesn't have the ability to engulf this one because this closed up. So yeah, 107 is pretty much that key number. We're looking for that. It is perfectly acceptable to wick through 107 to retest something like this 102 level. Totally acceptable. And grabbing the liquidity from down there and everything and then going back up is actually really bullish. But you just don't want to close down there. Okay, over to SOL. So SOL yesterday created a new range trend on the daily. It was under the break level. It pushed up off the range trend back into the range. It's bounced off the break level here, I think. Yeah. So it's bounced off the break level here, and we just want this candle to stay up. Now, in a perfect world, the level we don't want to touch on SOL is this level here at 196, 96, wouldn't that be scary? 196.662, okay? Because that's how you create one of those high time frame origin supports, is you hit the break level of this range that was back here from the start of September, you go back up and you don't come back to it, and then when you do the next time, it sends you flying in the other direction because it was polarized. The price did not break down, it broke up. And even this range that's actually here now at 200.040, it has the ability to do that, but it takes another couple of days because you have to have a candle that can't make it back to there, because that just shows that the buying pressure once that level was touched was just too much and it becomes like a strong support area. So this candle that we're currently looking at has touched the 200.040 area. If the next one doesn't, then the next one could bounce off that area and go up. So I guess what I'm saying is SOL is being very sneaky. It's making some supports that it can wick and grab the liquidity and all that kind of stuff, definitely. But those supports are capable of pushing it back up to sort of these areas around 231, 238, 249. 249, if it builds this origin support down here, 249 would be the opposite side of it. And depending on how long it takes to get there, then it has time to develop those same sort of supports on the next time frame up and the next time frame up and so on. So yeah, it's been a bit sneaky. If it does dip, it definitely looks like it's going to be into some good strength, and then it should go up. So yeah, BTC is the only thing really that could wreck SOL if it just took an absolute dump. But I actually think SOL is just looking so strong in here. So I'm looking for a potential move where it may reject off the 210 area, which is was the same type of thing, but it is what it's creating down here, but it was resistance once in the past. And if this candle closes blue, it will be a hard close back under that resistance, in which case maybe we do struggle to get over 210 and that creates the rejection down. If it keeps going up like it is right now though, when we get to the end of these timeframes, you'll see what I mean by the importance of closing up. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one. Right, so again, same sort of support building on the 2-day, and it's actually already got those support levels in here on the 2-day, so it's looking pretty strong. We could see some kind of pullback, 206, 208, 217 has a lot of confluence with various hold levels, etc. But I think there'll be pullbacks. I don't think they'll be creating the next local high, so that's looking good. This is the one that I had the other day. I put this in the Discord and just said, I think I said something about where our support and resistance was, and I said, but this is probably where the price wants to go, with a little circle, and as you can see, it went to the little circle. So this was a retest of the range trend that was hard closed, and it had confluence with the horizontal levels and all that kind of stuff, and it was a dive of the trend, which is why it's bungee cording all the way back up. So the price of this could well be back up into this 3-day range in the next hour. The way it's moving at the moment, it could just creep its way back up to the side there, which is very bullish, and then if it bounces off this range trend, it's going to go up to the top side here to try and target maybe the inverse resistance on that wick, something around there, which is 231. So it's looking good. 5-day. So 5-day is going to create a support trend or move a support trend. So it's going from there out to there. So yeah, if we do get that dive to grab any liquidity, it's just another thing to say we have support. And the thing I find really interesting about this one is it wants to hit the retest this range trend, which is sitting up here at about 267. Actually, sorry, maybe 261-ish, sitting up there around there. And it fell short of that because of the older trend resistance that was running through from the past and all the other various levels that wanted to reject up around that top area. But it still, at the end of the day, wants to retest that trend. So if we create this, dip to this trend, and then travel up to the topside trend, then I guess everyone can have faith in alt season again. 6-day. 6-day is going to create a range trend to the downside. It's a downwards facing one, which means if it takes a dive to retest it or use it, that would be sort of around those 180s, 188s. So pretty reasonable. But at the moment, it looks like it's pulling itself back up over the older range trend. So it is more bullish if this closes sort of over that trend, which is about 206. If it closes just under that trend, that could trigger that sweep, and the sweep down to the bottom trend and then the bounce back up. This has a hold level to target for the range trend, which would be 234. So everything's in place. if they want to close here, wick down, bounce up, all in place. So that's all. Okay, 9-day. 9-day hit its support trend to the cent. It's bouncing back up. It's going to create a hold level again at 217. So we've already got some time frames at 217. It's getting back inside its range. It hasn't broken its upwards range trend, but the pressure of this range trend will be trying to pull it back up anyway. So a retest of that is about 232. So you can see these numbers are starting to all line up. We've got, yes, we could sweep, but we might not because this thing is looking very strong. And then we've got these numbers up around the 230s that are quite easy to get to on so many time frames. Okay. Now this is the 10-day. So if 10-day closes below 206, it creates a hold level. Same thing. It's got a retest that it hasn't performed yet on this, and this is the one I'd put my money on. I reckon this will be where they will go if they do sweep. This is the origin resistance level, which has been hard closed by this 10-day candle. It is now a support level. The wick did not quite touch it, and it has not quite gone up high enough to stop this hold level. So I'm thinking that maybe we open up, we hit that hold level, we come down. So that could mean that a rejection from anything above, it depends at which point all the orders are in here. So because price can go up into a hold level, it can either reject right from the very start of it, or it can travel up inside of it. But I think somewhere based on the structure, if it was to go up inside this area, anything above 206, then it may reject down to this 188.786 level. I think that would just look, it would look really good. Structurally wise, that's kind of what you see. So we've also got this other hard closed level, origin level from, what's that, 2021. And this is the one that's really got me on the fence. We might close over that. Okay, so the level is 204.636. We've been battling with that level for probably the last 10 or so hours. And it's pretty much just battling with it now. If it closes over that level, well, then that is a retest because it's already hard closed it again. And the last time we retested this level after a hard close was here. So went through it, hard closed, bled down to do the retest, did the retest, whoomph. See what that did? Well, that's where we are now. Gone through it. This is not a hard close. This is a hard close. This could be a retest. If we hold this level, whoomph, could go through it. So that's looking pretty bullish. Okay, 15-day. Hold level at 214 versus 2021 origin support level hard closed. Yeah, it may not hold. It may just go straight through it. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. If it closes under this level, well, that's actually quite bearish if it closes under this level. It could go to the trend. 181, 182. The next hard closed retested level of the same strength is 175.667. But I think we've got enough stuff to stop us having to go there. And the price is so close even right now. So we'll see. Okay, 18-day. As long as it stays above 200.670, it doesn't create a hold level. So this is struggling to keep price down. The price wants to go up. And once again, it's got that same sort of level coming through here, 204.636. It's not hard closed on this time frame, but it is on enough. 27-day. 27-day. So this is going to hard close the break level on close. And so that's justification for then a retest. It would also be where the range trend is. So that's around that 187, 188 area again. So a lot of confluence from 187, 188, 189. 30-day. 30-day is going to add a support trend. It'll be on the wrong side of it when it opens. Well, it might be on it, but that really just gives it a 50-50 chance. But it is above the long-term range trend. If it came down and retested that, there's that 188 number again. Okay, 45-day. So 45-day is going to move trend to the top side. So you've got to be conscious of that for future rejections, which would be around 252. Okay, so if this closes yellow, possible future rejection around 252. Hold level will be all the way down here at 169. So that's the first one that looks a little bearish, as if they're planning to do a pump and then another dump, you know. So this is actually potentially the type of thing that could create a lower high and then come down here to be, you know, 169 being the lower low. So because yeah, that'll be slightly lower than where we went last time if it hits that trend, just slightly. And then yeah, that would be definitely lower if it came back down to 169. So what this means is write down, chart up something, 45-day time frame, put an alert on this trend. When the trend gets touched, the candle needs to stay above it. Right? So it can go through this for 45 days. It can just work all the way up into the sky. But in 45 days, we need to be looking at this chart. Probably a good idea actually to look at it, you know, probably every week, let's say. Nice round number. Let's just do it every week. And just see what it is doing, because if it starts to pull back down towards it, then you start to get an idea of, okay, yeah, we're just going down. So this could be what they do for the blow off top. So straight up and through, all new highs, and then in the next 45 days. So typically actually what would happen is it would go through it, and then you might get another 45 days after that candle, and it would be that next candle that quite often becomes a hard close of the trend. And then of course it comes all the way back down to retest the trend fails, because if you consider people's psychology, if you shoot through this and you go really high, and then you do another candle and you go really high, by the time you're up at some really high price, imagine how everyone is feeling when the thing comes all the way back down here. They are just doom and gloom, bear market, they're all selling, they're all getting out, they're not going to buy, they've given up on life, and that trend is not going to hold. All right, so it'll just go through it. Okay, 54-day. Closing up over the top of the trend. It's good. Doesn't mean much in the scheme of things. But if it came back and did a retest on it, it could bounce like it did here. Yeah, so up, through, down, retest, bounce. So it would mean coming back to that 177, 178 area. So don't take that off the table yet. We're not seeing much around 140s and 150s anymore, is quite important. And then there's this. And I purposely paused there just for suspense. So there's two levels on this chart. 90-day charts, it's a big time frame. 204,636, which is this one. We want to, if we can close over that, awesome. Never closed a 90-day candle over that level. Okay, and the other one is this one here, which is 199,627, and we will definitely be closing, I think, unless they really push it down quickly in the last couple of hours. Well, I shouldn't say we will definitely. I hope we close over that level. If we close over that level as well, well, that'd be pretty impressive. In fact, what's this level? Yeah, 197. So we're potentially going to have the highest body close of a 90-day candle since SOL was available. So if that happens, well, I don't really know what will happen. The options include bouncing off any one of these and just mooning, because there's no trend. There's nothing to stop it. So if it's time, then they'll start the markup phase potentially on any of these, and they'll just go for it. So that's what that says. And we've got a 135-day. This is going to create a support hold level at 189.270. It's above the break level, which is 179.353. It's above the trends, including the range trend and the normal trend. It's if it's time to go up, any of these levels can create price discovery. Okay, and just quick look at the weekly for tomorrow. It just looks like it's pulling back up over the important levels, so that's all we need to see there. The monthly troubles me a little bit because structurally I don't understand, unless we really do just go and close this candle over the top of that 243 level in the next 3 days, then we really have to wait a whole nother month to hard close that level, or we create a blow off top. And if we do create a blow off top, well, it will be a pretty good one when it eventually fails and comes all the way back down. So we'll see. The other thing it could do is do a retest of this prior trend down in that 178, 179 area. It's hard to say. When you're trying to figure out what they're going to do, part of it is you got to think like, where have people put their liquidity? Have these players bought enough yet? Do they want to buy more at a discount before sending the price up? Because that's all liquidation really is. It's just people who need to open really large positions and want to get them for the cheapest price possible. So the question becomes, are their bags packed? If their bags are packed, then they move into the markup phase where they just start bidding the price up. And because there's so little in the order books really in the scheme of things versus how much these people have available funds wise, they can build these huge bags and then they can just bid it up, bid it up, bid it up. And then the world jumps in and helps them because they see it going up and everyone chases it. Then they don't have to spend so much of their own money anymore to bid it up. So, and it's at that point that they start selling to those people and so on and so forth. So basically the question is, when this closes, we're going to move a trend to there. Do we go up and reject off this trend again at sort of the 240s? And if so, what happens? Where does it go? Well, it probably has to come all the way back to the 277s, 278s. And that would be a 50% retrace roughly of the range. So there'd be plenty of people out there who would just say that that's all normal and just, market makers, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, if it closes like this, is that what happens? Or are we going to see in the next 3 days a mega pump and get up over these levels? Because to get through this trend, you at a minimum need to be over that 234.026 level, because then it can use it can use the close over the top of the break to break out through the trend. Yeah, or you need to just pump up, flat top, open on the other side and bounce up again. So yeah, the monthly has definitely got me perplexed. It's saying we do either need to have a really pumpy week or Sunday pump that gets the price all the way up here, or Monday or Tuesday, or yeah, is there going to be another sweep down and then up next month? Okay, quick look at these others. SUI, sitting between trends, not a bad spot. It can open the next one probably on the trend. If it pushed up just a little bit before the end of the day, it would be great. You want it to be able to make a hold level, so you kind of want it to stay blue. because staying blue will shift the support trend to the underside of it, so that's actually positive. But if it could just go up just a smidgen, so say like 3.2041, about that by the end of the day, then it would get the support trend shifted to it. It would open on the top side of the downtrend, have support, and be able to bounce up. So that's looking pretty good. So ENA has already broken its second daily downtrend. I just haven't put the line on there, and it's already tapped the break level. It's avoided touching it for the next day. Once it gets over the trend, it will tap this break level, which will have converted to an origin, and then it will be able to push. So this is looking like it wants to do a daily reversal. Just trying to look at where it might reverse to. There's any of these hold levels on this, which is currently the front side, becomes the back side once it starts going up. But there's any of these hold levels that we've sort of marked here. There's a couple of others, like it's already tested and rejected off the 6173. It may go to the next step might be to push through to 6441. But if it creates an origin support level and bounces off that, most of this stuff should just fall apart. This one might be able to stop it, which is 74, right? So around 73, 74. So I would say that if this breaks, dips, and bounces, it's probably going to push through all of these levels and hit the 73, 74 area. World Liberty Finance is just stuck under the range trend. It's going to create a interior. I'd say this is definitely going to be going up. I don't know if it'll be today, but reason being, here's your sweep. Yeah, so they've bought their big bag in here, and now it's a case of how greedy are they and where do they want to send it. So it's just going to have to get through these levels. If it comes back to this hold, that would be worth buying, and then especially if it comes back to it from the top side of the trends. If you get it low enough, then as the candle pulls back towards the trend, you can just sell it out again if you don't believe it's gonna, like if it's doing it right on the end of the day and you think it's gonna stay under the trend, you just close the position as it goes back towards the trend. ZEUS. Well, that ain't good. So we'll see how that goes. I'd say this is yeah, it's under that down facing trend at the moment. If it stays under there, it's going to go and test this one down here at 5 cents. It's all about the technology. Okay, it's actually meant to be a really good product, but yeah, sure, it's all about the technology. Cook. The one, actually I sold Cook and Puff. I pretty much got rid of all of my crappy coins before the last dump. I suppose I could buy them back now and it'd be the same, but this is looking like it's going to close over the top of the break level. So you'd either hope that it dives to the trend and bounces all the way up, or it might just bounce off top of the break level and go up. But either way, this looks like it's going to go up. It can be a pretty volatile coin, this though, as you can see from some of these dips and some of these pumps. So don't put your life savings on it. Hype's looking good. Okay, so this is not, what is it? Yes. So this is closing very subtly. It's almost touched it. Could be a rounding error. Always get a little bit scared of that kind of thing. But this might be creating that origin support level down here at 42.99. Getting back up over the trend and getting back up over 46.06 for, was that 46.01, something like that? 46. Getting back up over 46 for daily close would be back within the support range, back within the accumulation range, and we'll have created an origin support level at 42.99. So write that down. If this thing ever dumps in the future because of FUD or whatever, it'll come down and probably hit that level and it'll bounce violently back up again. Like those are the levels for the future that you want to catch knives on. Say No, not looking good for the month. And oh, that's the same, ENA. Okay, cool, that's it. That was a long one. There was a lot there covered, but hopefully you got something out of it. Woohoo! Over 500 subscribers. So the goal's 1,000 now. We'll just keep raising it up, eh? And yeah, we'll talk again soon.